And again, one more time, let's look onto the south, right? And Morocco and Mauritania, and it's another reality. And you can take a look, and you get to see what happened in 2013. That everybody, I don't know, something was in the water, that they started to all of a sudden really escalate all around Algeria. And again, this is when Algeria starts to get pressure about migration. And keep in mind, there is also other organization. For example, ACTED. ACTED is a very interesting organization. Its board members are predominantly, I believe there's only one person that's Belgium. They're all French, all linked to the Socialist Party. You have old ministers, Minister of Foreign Affairs. You have ministers of people who worked in the justice branch, all very, very high up characters, if you will, in the political field. You even have a lobbyist, I believe, that was actually a really good friend with Macron. And another very interesting concept, they also very much cover migration, although not in Mauritania and not in Morocco. Yet both have been, obviously heavily criticized, just like Algeria, for migration. So that's also very interesting. But then again, they have enough organizations, right? So ACTED, the co-founder, actually, interestingly enough, this is also a very interesting fact, is that he is the chairman of a company that extracts crude oil and natural gas, as well as mining, like uranium that is in Niger, where French presence is there. You also might want to take a look as to where the French military presence is in Niger, and you will get to see. It's very interesting. They're always very, very kind in trying to protect the national resources of uranium and gas and gold. And it's the same thing with ACTED. They're also really nicely, you get to look at the positions and where they are mostly working, and you get to see that they are very much protecting the gas lines there as well. And by the way, all right next to the borders of Algeria. And also noting that Algeria does have quite a bit of resources to its south in the Hagar region, which is actually very close to Niger and very close to Libya. So again, it's all really politics is rendering its ugly heads, if you will, geopolitics rendering its ugly heads. So you can see with all that presence and constant migration coming to Algeria that there are organizations and claims as ridiculous as to say that the situation in Niger and in Mali, as far as freedom of expression and freedom of speech, are a much better situation than in Algeria. Then why would they be moving up? Those are war-torn countries. So the concept of freedom of speech really is ludicrous. So again, you get to see politics all around. How has this impacted Algeria? Well, it has not been good for Algerian advocacy on an international platform. It has created a reliance. It has created a dependency on international organizations. And how has that really impacted? Well, we have no presence. And because we have no presence, it has diluted the advocacy in the UPR, and we saw that in the stakeholders report with the prisoners of conscience hardly even mentioned, right? And then we also see it in the UPR interference. Let's be honest, they had crime against humanity, ridiculous lies and claims on the stakeholders report, which basically are now paper trail. So again, this is the importance of having ECOSOC. Having ECOSOC is presence, and presence on their international platform not only serves for advocacy, but really serves as protection for Algeria. It took one Algerian to realize what was done, and to realize that the potential disaster that this could have went into with the working group. Recognize that before, for example, So you might say, okay, well, if this was such a bad idea, if there was such a bad case with the stakeholders report, how come only Morocco, how come only one country made the recommendation of against this crime against humanity? Well, that was not by accident. I assure you of that. That is because 2 days prior to the working group, and that was done strategically after finding out all of this, I sent an email, of course, to all of the organizations with exact detail of organization, every single paragraph, every single thing, and you would also see the event on there that we made, and we had sent it and invited all the diplomats, and we had sent it to every single country. And so, yes, and they were all CC'd together, so they all saw that they all got it. And I made sure to do it from several emails. So it was not by accident, but basically it was through exposure. Another concept with this is that if there were Algerian organizations, and this stuff wouldn't happen, because again, like I said, it took only me to find this, right? It took only one Algerian to do this, and again, coming for the reason, coming to actually advocate for freedom of expression for the detainees. But we are doing this for patriotic reasons. So when we see something is about to hurt the country, of course we would act. That's the understanding that, honestly, Algerian authorities have to understand, and Algerians have to understand. When it comes to international platforms, there is a strange dynamic that functions between the missions and its people. We are not nemesis to each other. We have to find a way, we have to find a means to work together, and that means we do not dilute our words because it might upset the government. We cannot do that. The government has to understand that we have to express this is our function. Our function is to do this. And at the same time, we need to understand that our purpose is not just to be adversary to the government. It's also to ensure that the right things are getting on documentation. We speak the truth. Advocacy is done on pillars of truth. So when we see stuff like this that's obviously completely wrong and would hurt the nation, this is not going to help anyone. It would hurt the nation, honestly. This document, that's why it has to be further removed. It's not enough that basically the interception with the working group and that no other nation made it. Because had the email not be sent, had it not been exposed to such capacity, then we would have had a colossal disaster. And again, why did it occur? Because we didn't have Algerian organizations and those who participated in the UPR. How come no one read it? Did anyone read the report? And if anyone read it, did they did not have the analytical skills or critical skills, or did they see it and chose not to speak of it? Again, our function is not to be anti-system just to be anti-system. That's not the point. Our point is to improve the situation. So there's all kinds of questions that it's just like, but in any case, and also you can actually see this if you go to the UPR, and I will have the link. If you go to, I believe it was, let me see, the time was 2:38. You can actually hear it from the Russian mission that actually speaks to international interference and how international interference is basically the worst kinds of goes all against international relations. So you can obviously see it. There's the residual, the reasons they cannot name or shame, so they cannot mention nations, but that is really letting you know what had happened, or what we had done to ensure that Algeria basically was safe, and to ensure that we had the recommendations that we needed, like for example from the United States, from Belgium, from Canada, from those nations that made genuine, direct recommendations. So it's complicated in the UN, and there is a lot of politics, and we honestly need presence there. I think this is something we all need to take heed. We all need to take responsibility at this point. This is not a no holds bar game, and that's advice both for government and both for civil society. And it is, we are not nemesis to each other. We need far more organizations with ECOSOC in the UN. This has clearly proved it. We need it because, again, we are all doing this for Algeria. Whether we disagree on what that concept is, whether we disagree on definitions, that's the beauty of diversity and democracy. But on an international platform, we have to understand that we all have a role in protecting the nation. And something to this capacity, crime against humanity that are not existent and can render us vulnerable to international interference. Now, does that mean that there is a nation waiting to come in? No, there's no proof. I cannot infer that. That would be irresponsible. But is it politics, and most likely will be used to put pressure on Algeria? Yeah, probably. But recall this, and you can see this in the stakeholders report. It's not pressure so they can free the detainees. It is pressure probably for national resources, which again would hurt the country and everybody in it. So again, please understand this is a very political method, and I hope everyone gets the message, and that we need to be responsible. And from the government, we need to have clearances to act. We need to have ECOSOC organizations. And again, that serves to protect the nation. Again, complaining about expression doesn't hurt the country. Crime against humanities, on the other hand, definitely do. So without further ado, thank you so much. The resources, references are there for you to check. Otherwise, pleasant advocacy, and see you next time.